The first game to ever make me cry was Pokémon Mystery Dungeon, and I think it's because of how invested I was. Many people have their own personal reasons for why they love this series, and mine happens to be for escapism. I first got a hold of this game back when I was a wee boy in the 2nd grade. My parents were freshly divorced, summer had just passed, and my birthday was coming soon. My mom worked overnight as a nurse, so I didn't really get to see her until the mornings before school. But one day before she left for work in the evening, she came home with a surprise birthday gift. And that gift was Pokémon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team. I don't think she really knew exactly what it was, but she knew I would play the hell out of it because it's Pokemon. Pains me to say, but my parents and I didn't understand the value of holding on to the boxes, so we just threw them away. Fast forward to summer of 2014, I had just finished my freshman year of high school and my brother had just moved out of the house. Major life change. For context, we're extremely close, and every weekend we would pick a Pokemon game to play from and start over from a brand new save file and marathon the entire thing on Friday and finish it by Sunday night. And when he left, I found myself doing the same exact thing, alone. My escape from loneliness was not only playing Pokemon games in my free time, but also sharing it with the world. I decided to create a new YouTube channel at the time where I did the cool thing to record and upload Let's Plays of my favorite games. One of them being
Pokémon Mystery Dungeon.
I became my favorite Pokemon in the world, Mudskip, while my partner was Kirby the Cyndaquil. Almost immediately, this game sucks you into their world, and you're able to empathize with these Pokemon, or, people? So that's the thing. This game humanizes Pokemon and truly brings them to life. And I feel like they're all unique in their own way. I felt like I was able to detach myself from real life events because of the internal battles with my role in this new world or the big drama with everyone and their grandma, especially during the Team Meanies saga. Growing up, I was bullied for my hair, the way I talked, cliché, and especially making YouTube videos. It affected me in every negative way you could imagine. Playing through this game again during my high school days helped me come to a big realization. Circling back, as we know and hate, Team Meanies bullies you and your partner out of the local area. Gengar's whole stitch is spreading lies about you, having a power trip, and then manipulating everyone in the entire square. I mean, he and his little goon squad wanted us dead. My realization with Gengar and his team is that while I felt so much hatred against them for what they did, learning their reasoning behind it all is what helped me find solace. I think that Team Meanies are all troubled souls, Gengar especially, as we know. For those of you who don't, Gengar used to be a greedy trainer who crudely grabbed a Ninetales tail, and their Pokemon Gardevoir took the curse intended for the trainer. Terrified, this trainer fled, and Ninetales foreshadowed to Gardevoir that the trainer would eventually turn into a Pokemon who would bring on many natural disasters. I bet living with this guilt isn't easy, and you can't tell people how to cope with their own traumas. Some people exert themselves by lashing out on others so that they can share the same pain. Others do the opposite and ensure everyone else lives a much better life than their own, shielding them from that darkness. Gengar is literally a troubled soul, punished for his own wrongdoings. Later in the postgame, Gengar travels far to see Ninetales again, and reveals that he was in fact the human from the Gardevoir legend. He pleads to free Gardevoir of her curse of being a ghost, and is willing to do everything he can to restore her body back to this world. This is his one chance to reconcile with his own past. Eventually, inside of this cave, in one of the most satisfying fashions, Gengar self-reflects and realizes what he had been missing this entire time since becoming a Pokemon: a sense of gratitude. This breaks Gardevoir free from the curse, at the expense of losing her memory. It's a chance for Gengar to start over with a clean slate with both himself and his ex-partner. Medicham and Ekans are simply just followers of Gengar that are shells of themselves. In my eyes, this can be tied to real-life bullies, especially with what I was experiencing firsthand at school. Insecure, anxiety-driven teens who didn't have a great relationship with their loved ones back at home followed the path of self-righteousness. So they took those frustrations out on me because I was an easy target. Although I don't deserve it and it never should have happened, I ended up giving those people a second chance, in hopes that one day they would feel guilt and realize their wrongdoings. Hopefully. At the end of the day, we're all trying to weather our own storm. It may not feel like it, but everyone's dealing with their own personal battle. Whiscash is seen as the symbol of wisdom, second to Xatu. He's always willing to tell a story, and in fact, he's the first to spill the beans to the entire Pokemon Square about the Ninetales legend, which Gengar uses to his advantage at the time to manipulate everyone. He later regrets telling us his tale because of what came after. That guilt weighs on him, and I'm sure it's a big learning lesson. He's just a chill guy in his pond. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. Another unproblematic king is Pelipper the mailman. He's got one of the most important jobs in the entire square, delivering time-sensitive mail that might be a warm welcome, critical rescue missions, or breaking news. Without him, rescue missions don't exist and people die. What? I appreciate him because while he seems like a silent passerby, he shows so much compassion for us after the Ninetales saga. After returning to town, Gengar tries to claim that we have absolutely no proof to clear our names from the giant lie. But seconds later, Pelipper flies over and drops a package of newspapers, stating that we're in fact not the cause of the world's destruction. Look at Gengar losing his shit. Pelipper also dropped some mail one morning, letting us know that he's so glad to be back delivering mail to our house again. While there's some great people in the town, a few bad apples spoiled the entire orchard. Snubbull was one of the Pokemon who led the chase against you out of Pokemon Square. It's implied that he's obsessed with power. After evolving inside of Luminous Cave, he states that he was upset because of his new appearance. But when Alakazam helped him realize that he gained more power, he got much happier. I hate this guy even more after coming home. He's such a dick, at least he owns up to it. On the other hand, Bellsprout admits that he originally thought we were guilty and feels horrible knowing the truth. Lombre is the biggest glazer in the entire existence of this series. Every time the big bad teams show up in the square, he's the first one to let us know who they are and what they do. He even goes as far as stopping us from volunteering for Groudon's Magma Cavern dungeon. Oh yeah, and he got conned by Gengar too, but I'm not surprised. I just find him annoying sometimes. Team Act are known as the strongest squad in the town. Although they just come back from every mission with their backs blown out, they look super cool. Alakazam is known for his big head, or brain, and teleportation ability. While he's super knowledgeable, I think he lacks empathy and moral reasoning. For example, after a big fight at the summit of Mount Freeze, your partner gets vocal and upset how y'all were wrongfully chased down by them, which forces Alakazam to make an awkward apology right after. I truly don't think he's got it in him to say sorry without someone else crashing out beforehand. Charizard and T-Tar are ego-driven muscle brains who I would like to compare to a bunch of meatheads. They're extremely cautious, untrusting to others, and driven to justice by their power and egos. You can throw Alakazam in there too. I think that's a tough balance in some ways to humble yourself, especially if you're allegedly the most powerful team in your little circle. You would think after getting squashed by a few legendary Pokemon and watching a couple youngins like us wash them, that you would sober up that ego immediately. I'm sure they think and mean well, but I believe it does more harm than good. Team Shiftry is led by an overconfident and selfish Shiftry who's only in the game for the money. After saving him from a near-death experience with Zapdos, his entire persona changes. Something definitely changed the brain chemistry up there, because before and after the Exile arc, he's the first to defend us. He also comes up with the balls to build a super team in order to rescue Team Act. One of the rare few who I came to respect by the end of the game. Team Constrictor, Hydro, and Rumble Rock are strong as hell and very humble. There's just a mutual line of respect for them since they don't try to overstep into anyone's business. I respect how dedicated these teams are to one another. I think your partner in crime is vital to making yourself feel loved and supported. I felt attached developing a brotherhood with this Pokemon. Almost instantly, the plotline can trick your brain into making yourself feel right at home. You're a human who just randomly woke up as a Pokemon that you could only dream of beforehand. And suddenly, there's someone by your side who's willing to be there even when the going gets tough. They support you with a roof over your head and defending you at your wit's end. At the lowest point in my life, with no other external support, and my brother moved out of our house forced to join the military, I used this silly little game to cope. I would do a full playthrough as myself and my brother to distract myself from the real world because it sucked. It helped me realize that I had friends who were willing to support me through tough times too. I feel like the game perfectly encompassed what it was like to be alone, looked down upon, and doubted. But journeying through the hellish storm, even when it felt impossible, it was made possible because of your partner, whoever that may be. Partnership is a big value in the Mystery Dungeon series. There's a big focus on camaraderie and community that you can see inside of the Pokemon Square. All the shop folk take their jobs seriously and ensure that you're served to the highest level. I think we see this in multiple areas of the game. As a newcomer, exiled from Pokemon Square, and saving the world. Even through it all, no one lost hope in you. Except this asshole. Fuck Snubbull. That support system is extremely necessary because without it, it'd be borderline impossible to see that light at the end of the tunnel. This relationship is a two-way street, as your relationship hangs on you being a support beam for your partner. Throughout the journey, your partner will turn to you for moments of reassurance. Whether it's a dive into your origin story, questioning what's fiction and reality, and even if it's worth living through all this trouble or not. Without each other, we're just a couple hollow souls questioning the purpose of life. After feeling like the world just stabilized, it's immediately taken from you, which is why I feel so strongly about my partner when it's time to leave at the end of the story. It hurts to leave your single support system. That's someone who allows you to be yourself, the good and the bad. They give you purpose for your ends goals. While this series offered me a tunnel to escape from the harsh reality of life, it helped me reconnect and see things from a healthier perspective. I learned to grow and focus on my future. I let go of all the grudges I held on to, emotionally detaching myself from the daily negativity that swarmed me at school. Whether we were all in the right or wrong, we all got to start from a fresh slate. I feel the animation, characterization, and stories are just fun at its core. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of writing out there, and I feel like it helped me mold into the person I am today. Without it, I'm not sure what kind of person I'd be. Probably just a stinky Snubbull if I had to guess. What kind of Pokemon do you resemble with, and why? Mudskip is my favorite Pokemon of all time, and I think its personality encompasses who I truly am. I think everyone needs to give this game a shot with some open arms, and maybe cry a little too. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.